Are you making your way through the days in Moonlight Peaks constantly worrying about your bank balance and wondering whether you should be selling everything you collect or hoarding it? If so, you're not alone. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly which items are worth selling for quick profit, which ones you should hold on to for future quests and crafting, and which materials are essential for creating valuable items later in this game. Following these tips will hopefully help you avoid costly mistakes and make managing your inventory a little bit easier. Don't forget to like and also subscribe for more Moonlight Peaks content, but let's get into the video. Before we get into kind of the in-depth specific things, I do have a few kind of general rules when it comes to selling or keeping something. Firstly, I tend to try and keep one or two of everything because you never know when it might be requested at the job board, or if you are early in the game, it may be needed for the museum. Also, remember that pretty much everything in this game can be used as a decoration, so think ahead, and if you find a crop, drop, or resource that you think may look adorable in a build later, be sure to consider saving it. With that little PSA, let's start by talking about farming and more specifically your crops. One of the key things that you're going to need to remember is to keep at least one of your 2-star crops that you have grown on your farm. This will be needed for the farming section of your museum when you get to that part in the game. This applies to your magical, non-magical crops and some herbs. Just remember that crops are seasonal and you will really want to be making sure that you are fertilizing those crops as soon as possible to increase the likelihood of the higher star rating. As you progress through the museum, you will also be gifted a firefly contraption. This recipe will help you increase the quality of your crops even further, so there's going to be a couple of ways to help you get to the required star quality. Once you have unlocked the museum, and if you go into your storage or your inventory, you'll see that the things that need to be donated to the museum will have the little museum icon next to it, so you know exactly what you can give to the different exhibits. Once I had to open my museum, I opened my storage, and my gosh, there was so much stuff there waiting to be gone. I had a little bit of a boo-boo because everything ended up on the floor because I was just trying to take out everything. But yes, don't be like me, but it was definitely worth the couple of trips back and forth to donate these things. Aside from the 2-star crops, generally I do not sell any of my crops in their raw forms. There is generally always something that they can be turned into to help you make more profit. For example, using your kegs to turn them into juices or wines, or cooking with them. You may not currently have a recipe that requires that particular seasonal crop, but you may later down the line. So I have been hoarding them in the hope that they will come in handy later. I planted down so many strawberries and raspberries in spring, but they're still making me plenty of money in autumn as juices, which I'm not complaining about. I would have definitely lost out on that extra profit had I just sold them all from the get-go. It is definitely worthwhile being patient, and once you have that wine and juice, just sell. In autumn, due to the absence of grapes, I've also been prioritizing upping my wheat production, which can be planted in any season, and it can be turned into flour, beer, and later it also helps with the moonshine recipe. All of these can either be used in recipes or just sold up for straight up money. Early on in the game, way back in spring, I was making sure to save the onions and tomatoes for a specific recipe, and that was the gazpacho, which is good for stamina replenishing really early on in the beginning of the game, and you really do feel like that stamina does diminish quickly. So this one came in really handy. I also highly recommend that you keep hold of items that can be turned into resources at the mill. So this will go for things such as sugarcane, which be sure to head to the marshes and forage it up there for some free stuff. And then you can also use that sugar in the jam making. And there are other recipes which you will need, like the rice comes in handy for sushi recipes as well. Getting a nice stockpile of these will help when it comes to kind of more complex recipes later on in the game. For example, I was able to make a makey recipe, and that went for 2,000 gold. So I had my nice rice there waiting to go because of this. Common mushrooms, unsurprisingly, are pretty common during the summer. You can also grow them if you want to. I decided not to grow them because I found that I had racked up a couple hundred just from foraging them. I think clearing out kind of the overgrown areas, for example, in the Moonlit Pines, that really helped kind of the speed that they respawned, But either way you decide to go with this, the common mushrooms, I try and keep a couple of them because there are some cooking recipes that do require them, but you don't need like 500. I should probably sell some of mine. Aside from the common mushrooms, there are also some rarer varieties of mushrooms, some of what I have dubbed the glowy mushrooms, and these are going to be coming in handy for when you get to mana production later on. I found that when I first got my mana extraction table, I didn't really have anything to use in there, but I did have quite a lot of the glowy mushrooms, so I used them until I had some magical crops grown. I also do find that some of the NPCs don't mind these as gifts, so they're definitely worth looking at that as well. When it comes to autumn, you will also begin to find pumpkins. As of yet, I haven't found a recipe that uses them, but I have been hoarding these as some of my research suggests that there will be recipes that can be purchased at the upcoming festival. So be sure to keep these for your future cooking. Also, by now, you may have invested in some farm animals, and each animal has a drop. Some even have 2. Generally, again, the same rule will apply here. Keep those animal products to turn into other things unless it is a golden item. These golden items will be very tempting to sell, but once you have unlocked the job board in town, there is one request that does ask for a golden egg. And did I sell my golden egg early on and then kick myself when it became available on the job board? 100% I did, so don't be like me. But more generally, the animal products come in handy for cooking. For example, the milk can be used in recipes such as milkshakes, and the plops from the pumpkins can be used in moonshine, which can then be used in the Bloody Mana Marys, which sell for around 2,000 gold, and they also can be consumed for stamina and 3 mana points. I need some of that. If you are looking for ways to make money from animal products, cheese is going to be pretty good, and you can make that at the press. Also, don't sell that wool in its raw form, but make sure you're using the loom to transform it into cloth. I haven't used too much of this in crafting yet, but I have been hoarding onto it because I feel like it might be needed. I'm not gonna lie, animal products do feel a little bit slow in the beginning, so it's definitely be smart with them and make sure you're using them in the best way possible. Similarly, we also have to talk about honey. To fully maximize this out as passive income, you need to have 32 flowers placed all around it. I have been hoarding my honey, but I'll be honest, I haven't really found a way to use it. Aside from using it in a few recipes such as the ginger tea, I haven't found much of a way to really kind of increase that. So I do think in the beginning, definitely keep a bit, and you can sell this, use it as a good kind of passive money maker as well. As you do get later into the game, you will need honey for brewing potions. This doesn't seem like it's going to require lots and lots of honey. My first potion only needed 1, but it still may be worthwhile just keeping a couple on hand for this recipe. Now let's go on to fish. I normally have a hatred for it in game, but honestly, I haven't really been minding the fishing in Moonlight Peaks. That is shocking, I know. And it's good because selling fish definitely helped me a lot in the beginning with getting my bank balance up. As always, I recommend you keep 1 or 2 of the fish you catch. You will get requests for things such as the brickles on the job board, and you do also have a section for them in the museum. But early on, I do recommend that you sell those extra fish and get that gold. There is one fish that I do recommend you keep early on for the purpose of cooking. I used this one and turned it into sushi for a little bit of a stamina boost, as it needs 0 other ingredients with it, so it's really perfect. It is not just the fish you should be keeping from your fishing expeditions, but also your seaweed. Once you've progressed a little bit, Mina sells a recipe book for sushi. I wouldn't recommend purchasing this recipe book until you have the drying rack because it's quite expensive, and you also need to have dried seaweed as a prerequisite for this. But once you have the recipe book, you have some rice ready, and you also have the dried seaweed. There are some seriously good recipes in here that sell for good money. Fish that are used in these recipes include the nasha and also the gloy gloy. When it comes to fishing and also bug catching, you'll want to keep some lower quality items to feed a certain magical crop. This is the gobbler, and at random it will either want a fish or a bug to help finish its growing. These grow in summer, and when I planted them on my farm, I was luckily able to pick up some bugs and fish from what was around my farm, but you don't want to be spending the rarer and more expensive bugs to feed to these. So if you have some of those lower cost bugs, you can just quickly give them to them, especially now we can access our storage from our farm. Aside from that, for bug catching, I haven't really found a benefit for keeping any of the others, aside from getting them ready for donating to the museum, and obviously some of them do make some really pretty decorative pieces. I love placing them down. I've mentioned foraging for mushrooms, but what about flowers? Flowers are really prominent in spring, and as a flower lover, I did hoard them, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad I did. Flowers grow at random in the wild and on your farm, and they have different areas that spawn kind of different colored flowers. If you know that you're gonna want a specific color for your decorating, for example, if you want to decorate with purple flowers, or you know you're gonna wanna use kind of purple flowers in some of the crafting recipes, be sure to clear out the area of the grass with your scythe to encourage them to grow during the springtime. I cannot tell you how kind of gutted I am that I didn't try and get more yellow flowers because they're so pretty. You can also use flowers as gifts. Flowers seem to be kind of, for the most part, universally well liked by all of the residents, so if you know you probably won't want to use them as decor, then definitely keep them for gifting purposes. If you don't want to give gifts to your NPCs, then just sell them, I guess. Some flowers, such as the black azalea, do also feature in the museum, so do keep that in mind. When it comes to foraging, tree seeds are quite rare, so if you see a spot like this on the ground, be sure to use your pickaxe on it. You might not want a tree growing on your farm right now, but later you may, so it's worth holding on to these if you see them and keeping them in your storage. Make good use of that unlimited selection. Another foraging item that is a great moneymaker in the beginning is the shells. Even though I'm in autumn now, I still haven't really found a good use for them. So I do have a few in my storage, but the majority of these are still going into Chester's tummy. So there are the key kind of headliners. Let's get on to some miscellaneous kind of things that don't really have a specific home. I just have a couple more to run over. So first up, your basic resources: wood, stone, fiber. You are going to want to hoard, hoard, hoard. Wood and stone is key for upgrading your home. For this though, you are going to want to get your refiner going to turn the basic stone into refined stone. Thankfully, you just need the basic wood for the upgrades, but it is a lot. The first upgrade requires 100. Quite a few of the recipes also use refined stone, so you're going to want a bit of extra. Honestly, there have just been days when I have been going on stone sprees. When it comes to ores and things like quartz, these are good things to have in your storage as well. Particularly the ores, you want to turn them into bars for upgrading your tools. I will say though as well, if you have been getting those dig spots and you have been finding that gold ore, be sure to keep hold of that as well. At present, it's kind of quite limited. I can't get into the other area where the gold actually spawns, so I've kind of been getting drips and drabs and trying to save it up for another tool upgrade. So keep hold of that as well. I've mentioned the job board quite a lot, and if you are lucky enough to come across a diamond, make sure you keep at least one of these, as there is a job that actually buys the diamond for 10,000 gold, which is a lot more than the 2,000 that you will receive for selling it to Chester. This one I haven't had yet, and I'm going to be very happy the day that it finally comes. Generally, and unsurprisingly, trash sells for a very low amount, but I have been keeping hold of this to give to my dear friend Death, who seems to love the stuff. So there we have it. There is everything I've been keeping and I've been selling. I hope you found this helpful. Please share in the comments other things that you like to hoard, other things you like to sell, and what is the best way to kind of keep that money coming in. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.